Alberta is often known for big skies, long drives, and getting from one place to another. But when you slow down here, you start to notice something else. Garages that turn into workshops, ideas that start as traditions. People who put an unreasonable amount of care into things most of us only see for a moment. Because it's not always about the places we've been, but...
So, as far as the Banks Brae is concerned, tell me how did we get from was this building did you build the building, or was this building actually here and then you bought it and then?
Yeah, I wasn't actually here for it. My wife had, no, I've argued with some people where they're like, no, I was here as a child, I've been through this building before when I was young. And I'm like, well, that's interesting because I drew the blueprints. And so it is a ground up construction. People say, well, what was this house before? And I'm like, it was grass. I'm like, what? And it's like, yeah, built it from scratch. I'm like, really? And yes, so it's a new house made to look like an old house. One of my funny lines is I couldn't find a mansion for pennies on the dollars, so I'm building one for dollars on the penny instead, But yeah, we couldn't find what we were looking for, but found this property. We were decided to move to Rosebud, and then was nothing for sale. And there was supposedly going to be properties coming available that the School of the Arts owned land, and they were going to subdivide it and sell it, maybe. And they had already subdivided and sold it to some of the professors and people that were in the school. So they kind of carved it out for themselves and said, oh, I'll build my house here and then I can be in town where work is. And that was great because they were motivated to sell themselves a lot. But to just do it for some guy, they weren't really getting around to it. It wasn't really a priority. And we're like, well, have you done anything? Well, not yet. We're going to another board meeting. Maybe we'll mention it there. So what happened for us was that this property, the Turner's property, came up for sale, and it was 3 acres. And we jumped on it when it came up. And it was a really weird acquisition. It wasn't just a land by realtor for sale. It was notified that it was for sale, but you had to put in your own closed bid to the lawyer. And you didn't know who you were bidding against, and you didn't know what you were doing and what the price was. It was up for you to guess. And so every night you go to bed, you're like, oh, well, what if somebody else bid 100,000? I better bid 105,000. Well, 105 is kind of round. I better do 106. 106, that's probably still a little low. Better do 119, 21, 121. Maybe, no, somebody else is going to be 150. I better do 200 maybe. Yeah. And so you have months of this where you're bidding yourself up as you go to bed every night. And we probably bid 100,000 over whoever the next person, but I'll never know because it was a closed bid situation. So yeah, we acquired this property and it's gorgeous. The river goes right around it. 3 acres on 2 parcels. We actually put in 6 bids. So we had a bid on the south parcel with conditions, and a bid on the south parcel without conditions, and then a bid on the north parcel with and without conditions, and then a bid on both parcels together with and without conditions. And they liked the one without conditions because they were going to get the money for sure, which was the higher or lower price. If there's no conditions, we're putting a low bid, and if there's conditions, we'll have a slightly higher number. So we like the low number with no conditions, but we don't know what else we're bidding against. We're like, oh, I guess you can kind of screw us there. Okay, sure. So they bid us up, and then he didn't move out when we agreed to have the date. He didn't have his ducks in a row, and he knew we weren't actually ready to move in, although I did need to renovate the house. And he's like, well, I'll just stay here and look after things for you. And at first we're like, well, yeah, we can work something out, and we'll charge you rent to live there while we are still, moving on slowly. Except he thought that he shouldn't pay any rent because he was looking after things for us. And it's like, well, no. And so he just didn't move out for 3 months. So that was weird. But eventually we got the property, and then it only has a 600 square foot house on grade with enough carved out basement to put the furnace and hot water heater. We renovated that so that the 6 of us could move into this 2-bedroom house. And when it's 2-bedroom house, I mean, it's like 2 walk-in closets. So the kids' room for 4 is 8 by 8, and the master suite was 9 by 8.
Okay,
And
quite small.
so, yeah, we built in this crazy bunk bed with the 4 kids. I had a single bed on top with a divider slightly off center with a crib mattress and a crib mattress. And then on my daughter's side, she had a crib mattress with 6 inches cut off of it. And then her shelf beneath was for clothes for everybody. And then right across from the bed was a wall unit thing that we basically filled with Lego and a little bit more for clothes. And so they all lived in there when they fit to begin with, and then they happened to grow. And I thought, if it's like fish in a fishbowl, they will probably just have to stop growing. But they didn't. They kept growing. And so my youngest boy, he was on the bottom, and he decided to just start kicking his legs out into the hallway instead of in his compartment because he was too tall for it. And I'm like, ooh, that's smart, good job, Asher. And so I found a table and I put it above him so that my second son could have his legs out over top of Asher. So we enlarged their bunks with this table, and Haddon was on a single bed, so he was all right at the top. And then one day we came in with Arwen, and she's sleeping with her feet up the wall and her neck totally kinked, like chin on her chest. And I'm like, well, that can't be good. Close the door. And she actually, a month later, so she moved out, and she moved behind our couch. We had a table that she put the leaf up and made a spot underneath there. So she was the first to move out behind the couch. And then the kids, we were building the house and far enough along, they're like, can we sleep in our room? And they all moved in to their bedrooms and like just one night. And so they moved in and they never moved back. So it was funny. I was building the house. So at this point I had no income. And so I would tell people that I'd retired and my kids have moved out, and I go and I visit them regularly because they were living in the house that I was building. So I'd go and visit them, and I intended to move in with them so that they could look after me. And that I'd found retirement is a lot of work. And my kids, I've learned, do a pretty bad job of looking after me in my old age. But so I'm 40-something at this point, and people are looking at me and they're like, your kids moved out and you're retired, and what? How old are you? It's like, so it was a funny line, but yeah.
Well, so this is a brand new build house.
Yeah.
That is built to look older.
Yeah.
So how have you kind of towed the line between, it's 2024, so we have certain rules that the Victorians did not have.
Right.
When they were building houses. Everything seems to be very, tastefully done.
Yeah.
Like I'm not...
Well, interestingly enough, there's certain things where you wouldn't have it occur in a smaller house, but you might actually had them be pretty close to code on a bigger house because your proportions were enlarged. So where you have to have such and such a wide hallway, for us 4 feet is your minimum width for stairs and hallways and landings and stuff. And so in a smaller house, you wouldn't have had that wide a staircase, and you wouldn't have had so much space to run it as long with a rise and run. But in a bigger house, you might have actually been closer to all right because you had the room, and quite often in a Georgian-style house, which is what we were going for, a sort of door, middle, staircase, center, twin windows going up. If it was a bigger, more glorious house, you'd have a bigger stairwell. You'd have these things. Quite often, you'd have a spindle and rail with an open foyer going up 2 floors. But we didn't want to spend all that money on air. It always bugs me to look. You got these 2-story foyers or living rooms, and I just look at it as lost square footage. And we have 10-foot ceilings on this floor. So we decided to do this library down the middle thing, which I loved and did not want to give up. We had architects looking at it, and when we're going through the process of figuring out what was allowed and what wasn't allowed, that the biggest hurdle for me was 2 stairwells. And when you looked at the code book, they had this weird thing. So from reading it, it seemed like your only option, 2/3 the diagonal of the building. So from that corner to that corner, you take 2/3 the distance. That's how far away my center stairwell had to be apart from my second stairwell. And you had to have access to both of them to get to the attic and get out. And I'm like, well, that's stupid. I can't be that far away with a Georgian-style house because the stairs are a must. Stairs in the middle, living room on one side, dining room on the other side. And after that, you can kind of do what you want. But that basic design is consistent. And so I can't get 2/3 away from my middle staircase. And so I'm building these weird houses where I jet way off to one side and adding suites or a bigger dining room. And then I go up 2 floors, and now I'm parking a hallway that goes through what should be bedrooms. And I have to put a hallway to get to my other stairwell. And it's just pulling my hair out. I'm getting really frustrated and angry with this stupid bureaucracy that's forcing me to do something I don't want to, and it's just really bad design. And then I talked with one architect, and I had talked with several architects, but one architect in particular is like, no, you're all right. We just have to put a fire door here and 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 everywhere a fire door, so that your main stairwell counts as a fire escape and your second stairwell has separation. And it can be pretty much back to back, and that's what we did. We back to back these stairwells, but I was still heading out of the envelope. And when I got out of the building envelope, I thought, well, I'm going over and around and back in, or I can go around a bedroom, and it's kind of the same amount of walls. I'm just adding a floor and a bathroom here and there and roof. It shouldn't be that bad. So I ended up thinking, well, I'm going to pay for this stairwell. It's so stupid. After drawing 2 or 3 different blueprints, I'll teach them. And so I added a house to our house, basically. And even like, so the basement suite, which has a kitchen, main floor suite with an ensuite, second floor suite with an ensuite. So that's three full baths, and the attic bedroom are all extra because of that stairwell. Otherwise, the house would be kind of in the rectangle shape if I didn't have to have that other stairwell. So I showed them that I can almost go bankrupt trying to show them. I don't even remember what. I showed them how I can learn a lesson the hard way. But it will be a more accommodating house. We will have that main floor suite with the barrier-free situation, and the basement suite, actually I didn't tell you about, is quite fun. It is going to be the 221B suite. It has a separate separate bedroom and a kitchen with a peninsula it's got a couple stools to eat at, and then the living room wraps around the bathroom, and it creates a niche where I'm going to do a Murphy bed that goes into a bunk bed. So that'll be like a perfect scenario for you kind of thing. It would accommodate 4 really well. And for longer stays. So if you're doing Drumheller and you want to go for a canoe down the river, or you want to go hiking and you're going to do the theater and you're going to spread it over a week, that would be a great suite where you take care of your own meals and what have you. And so yeah, the 221B Sherlock Holmes themed suite that is currently our art storage, and our actually only functioning bathroom in the basement. I broke the stone, the marble that we got in for the main bath downstairs. It folded in half when we were trying to carry it, and it just disintegrated. So it's not, didn't get installed. So I only recently got another C can of stuff in from China to replace the marble when I got the quartzite for the butler's pantry. Yeah. I brought in more stone for that bathroom. So I'm just not keen on lifting it into place. So it's still sitting in my yard.
Fair enough. So this place is clearly a labor of love.
Yeah, yeah.
100% clear from the minute you walk in. You're like, wow, you have spent a lot of time on appointing this with art. There's books everywhere.
Yeah.
There's the games. I mean, there's a grand piano in here, for heaven's sake.
Yeah.
I mean, you've definitely spared no expense. Is the way to say that. So what inspired you, I guess, to get into this, as far as all the millions of other occupations that a human being could be into?
Well, there's a couple things. Partly it's our skill set, and partly it's our psychosis. And so me and Carrie are both would qualify as hoarders. And there's some hoarders that don't do it well. Like they're hoarding the wrong things. And for us, we just like pretty things and like, oh, that's nice, or that's useful, or that's could be good for somebody. And so we'll hold on to it, and to a fault. Like we just have way too much of everything. But then there's the benefit of that, where it's like, well, now you could do something with it. And so partly this is utilizing that skill to benefit, so that everybody can enjoy our acquisition of junk, and we can display it all, and it's like life. It gets to be like show and tell. And so it's a joy for us. For me, the fun part is like if there was a reincarnation, I'd make a great crow. You know, it's like, well, that's shiny. Ooh, you know, I don't know what it does, but I'll put it in my pile, you know. And so that's us, you know, like, well, that's pretty. I really like that. And so we collect pretty things. In fact, one time I was shuffling between stacks of boxes in our Quonset before the house was at all being able to fill anything. So we had just jammed it full, and we're like shuffling between stacks, and my wife's ahead of me, and I'm like, you know, we could be on that show Hoarders. And she's like, you know, that show Hoarders, they make you get rid of everything. And I'm like, no, not that show Hoarders. We got to be on the show Hoarders where you show people how to do it properly. You know, and so it's yeah, we like to collect. I'm a carpenter is my main occupation in life, but I love people. And so getting to interact with people and know them and be interested in what they're interested in and tell them I've got a colorful history, and so I've got lots of stories. So it's fun interacting with people. And I've been left alone in houses for years, you know, where I'd much rather be talking with somebody, but I'm stuck alone trying to make I'm a people pleaser, so I want to make you happy. And so I'm trying to make you happy by putting the nicest miter I can on your window or the inside of your closet or whatever. I'm trying to build a house well for you. And in the process of doing that, I probably made people happy because they're happy that their windows got cased or their baseboard got put in. But never, I put in an extra effort that never, well, not never, but often wouldn't be realized. And so this is a much better fit for me where I can give you a great night's stay. I can build one nice house instead of 100 for one, like here's a house for you and a house for you, and a month later a house for you. And I can give you a great evening in one night. And I built this house beautifully, and everybody can enjoy it. And so come and play in my sandbox, you know, because I've made a great sandbox to play in, and come and enjoy it with me. And it's like a new car smell wears off, right? And for yourself, you're like, well, I'm still making payments, you know. This isn't that great anymore. But when you get somebody to come and sit in your car and you show them all the features and how fast it goes, or you know, how it does this or that, and look at this feature, it's exciting again, and it's fun. And it's fun for them because they're enjoying it. Like, oh, I'd love to have one of these. This is just wonderful. I really love just sitting in your car. It's so comfortable, and it does smell good, you know, and it brings it all back for you. And so that's the joy for me and my wife is sharing it with people. The stuff is no benefit. I've hoarded all this collection. It's no benefit unless my wife is so happy I got her another thing. But at this point, it's like oh, thank you, and you throw it on the pile, you know. But for people that come in, they love it, and then I love sharing it, you know. And so for us, it's just a real pleasure to give people a relaxing time away where they can experience the feeling of being pampered and luxurious, and I can serve them.
It's good, and I mean, clearly you've got a passion for it. I mean, the hardest thing is when you're talking to somebody who has like passionless about things, and like trying to get information is like pulling teeth.
Yeah. Every question, and then yeah, backup questions for sure. Yeah, no, I'll just keep running. And again, like I say, my pleasure is to interact with the guests, and although you got to feel them out, right? You got to say, okay, well, nah. And a lot of times the theater is generally 50 plus, and it's not because the theater is aimed at 50 plus. I think it's 50 when people realize the theater's there. They take the time to get out of the city and like, well, yeah, my aunt's been telling me about this theater for years. I should just give it a whirl. And you dawns on you that I should have been doing this for years when she told me the first time, you know. And so you come to the theater and you realize it's great, and that most of the people on the stage are 20 years, 30 years old, and why haven't I been coming? And they're like, nobody told me about this. And your aunt's like, I told you about this, you know. But yeah, no, it's a great place to come.
Yeah. So speaking of which, I mean, as a channel, we've been going all over Alberta. So
yeah,
I mean, we might not be going to Jasper.
Oh. Is there fires going on, or what's happening?
Yeah, just this morning, apparently Jasper was evacuated.
Oh, weird.
So I don't know what that's going to mean for us going out to
all those activists lighting fires.
But I mean, we went to Torrington a couple of weeks ago to the world famous Gopher Hole Museum.
Okay, very good.
I mean, apparently it's world famous, and we'd never heard of it.
Right. Do they have like a cross section of a gopher burrow or something, or what do they got going on?
It's taxidermied gophers.
Lots of them.
Like clothing and little
goodness
and such like that.
Excellent.
Yeah, definitely something. So check out our video on that one. I'll put it in the comments or whatever, where we put that in YouTube. I forget. It always changes. But so my question is, I mean, Torrington is a place that's way out of the way. Most people have never heard of it.
Yeah.
You know, so
Got to have a gimmick. I mean, a thing.
yeah. So why Rosebud? I mean, of all the places that you could have decided to plonk down a Victorian house.
Yeah.
Right. You know, maybe closer to Calgary or closer to Edmonton or
for sure
to Banff or whatever.
Yeah, I always envisioned myself going west. I like forests, and here we are, pushing Saskatchewan's border, almost to Drumheller anyway. My wife grew up her teen years in Panburn, which is a little known town in Saskatchewan, south of Swift Current, I think 20 minutes, half an hour. The only thing there is a Bible school and its students and professors and stuff. And so her father was working at the school. He took music ministry and was working there. And so she loved that part of her life. Her brother hated it. So he's in the city and will never live in a little town again. And she always wanted a similar scenario for her children. And also that she knew her children were my children. And I was not the easiest of teenagers to deal with for my parents. And so we're like, we got to shelter these children. We got to get them out of, in a sense, harm's way in the city, and we'll raise them out. And so we were browsing this little town and that little town and looking for a place to raise our family. And nothing seemed quite right. A poor realtor friend of ours that never ended up being utilized to get this property because it was a realtor-free scenario. We drug him across southern Alberta to all kinds of places to look at this little place and that little place. And we'd find a beautiful old house that was falling down and run down. And I'd look at it, and then the windows and the doors are sagging and the foundation's settling. And then like, well, I could probably fix it, you know, if I do this. And then you kind of pan right. But I can't fix his house or his house or his house. And then so many of these little towns tend to kind of be dying or not being kept up. And in many of them, if they had nicer areas, they were bigger than what we truly wanted. We wanted something smaller. And then we stumbled across Rosebud, and we came to a show. It was a student production, or the studio stage production of, I can't remember the show, where the sky met the land or something, I can't remember. It was amazing. Like, I was not expecting very much, and we came to the show, we were late, just got in by the skin of our teeth, didn't really notice the town because we were just trying to get there. Saw the production, I was thinking piped in music, high school special, like nothing great, but whatever, let's go have a good time. It was amazing. Like, these guys live, like mandolin, guitar, singing, and just exceptional. Blew me out of the water. I just couldn't believe how good it was. And I got out and I'm looking and I'm like, well, this town's really pretty. You know, like, there's a nice new house being built, and there's an old house that they've repainted, and it's all kept up, and like everything seemed to, like, they're putting their best foot forward kind of thing. And for me as a finishing carpenter, where aesthetic matters, it's like, oh, that's really nice. I could fit into here. And I love this kind of the faith aspect to the production that we saw. And it's like, I could really see myself fitting into this. And then more finding about the town, that it used to be that dilapidated town that was kind of dying, that had been revitalized through the theater. At one point was a camp for kind of troubled teens, you know, get them out of the city and try and get them back on track, and just give them an arts camp, and you do painting and pottery and this and that. And then they did a fundraiser as a stage production in their field or in a green space, and then kind of kept running with that. And so it morphed into what it is now, with the dinner theater and art school for people to learn to be actors or directors or stagehands or whatever facet of acting or theater that you want to get into. And so I have dreams. I'll get on this guy's dream and we'll dream together, you know, and try and realize an idea. And it was further from Calgary we intended to be. So that was my occupation, was Calgary. It's like, I got to get to Calgary to do work. And this is too far, so maybe we shouldn't do it. And then we're thinking, but there's like 40,000 people that'll come to this town. And so people are coming here. We should be able to figure out something that'll work with that. And so in comes the bed and breakfast, which are already several of. Like, there's about a dozen different accommodations in town, and we're attempting to be the fanciest one.
Yeah.
And there's different shelves for different people. Like for the people that don't, like this is just way too much. They're minimalists. Go to one of the other places that has less stuff. And if you're okay with the busy art everywhere, everything everywhere, then maybe this is the right fit. So there's different strokes for different folks. And when we talked with the majority of people, they're like, no, build it. It won't hurt us. You know, you're not really competing. And the more accommodation the town has, the more people that will use that accommodation. It's not really stepping on toes. When it's busy for everybody. And when it's slow for everybody. Yeah. And so there wasn't really anybody up in arms about, oh, now there's another one that's going to take it all or anything like that. So,
and that's worked out pretty well?
Yeah,
that's important.
It's a learning curve. We opened right at COVID. So we were, I think, 2 months open with very little business because nobody knows you're there. Yeah. And then COVID came, so then it was hurry up and stop. And who needs money, pay for it. And so, then we got, I think, that was, if we're 10 years now, and we've been open for 4, so that's like year 6 of no income.
Yeah.
And then, 2 more years with basically no income. And now we're finally getting back on track. Of like, okay, now you got to start a business and you won't turn a profit until you, however many years. And then that's how we met. I'm like, I can't wait for this turn a profit thing. I'm going to get people in this house and teach them about it. So I go and introduce people. I put my signs out and we do open houses and try and drag people back, twist their rubber arm. And they're always appreciative when they're leaving. I'm so glad you pulled me over and I came across this place. This is fun. Yeah. And so, that's what we're doing, trying to turbocharge our recognition in the world.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm glad we can help with that a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hope so. So I guess finally, if you could tell somebody who is traveling kind of Alberta, right, and they've seen this video, they've heard of Rosebud Theatre or whatever not, and they're looking for a place, and you're going to give them the why you should be at Banks Brae, what would you tell them?
Well, Rosebud's a town where you, a lot of people, you come here for the storytelling. You get out of your routine, you drive for an hour often, from Calgary or Red Deer. It's not super far away. Like I say, very close to Drumheller. We're 20 minutes away from Drumheller. And there are several things, like there's the windmill, and some people, they don't even know there's a theater, but they're going to do it in a windmill, because that's cool. And but like of all the accommodations, we're trying to be the most elegant and fancy. Like I had mentioned to you before, a lot of accommodations are really just a bed, and you're here for the theater, or a bed and you came for the museum in Drumheller, or to go to the hoodoos and hiking and what have you, and you really just needed a bed. What we're trying to be is more than a bed. We're a place where you're going to meet up with your friends. You're going to kick back in the drawing room. You're just going to, again, feel pampered and taken care of, and like you are special, and so act like it every now and then, and just take a time to relax and enjoy the moment. And so we want your moment to be a time of reflection that Rosebud can be. Come to see a show and it makes you think or dream or imagine or remember those moments in life that you're missing in your daily grind, and while you're on your little hamster wheel trying to grind it out, get out of that, get off that hamster wheel and come out and think a bit. And one of my thoughts, I am a Christian, and so you don't know what your purpose is sometimes. Like what am I supposed to do? And for me, I want to be a blessing to people. I want to make you happy. I want to encourage you towards something better. Something good, so some people like, I want to redo my bathroom and this is a great idea. I love how he did the floor, or I really like crown molding. Why don't we do crown molding? And some thoughts, like I used to feel pretty invincible often, as we do as teenagers, like, oh, I'm going to live forever kind of thing, because I felt like God had some greater purpose and I hadn't served it yet. And so I felt pretty safe because that can't have been it. So I'm probably okay, and I probably abused Christ in the process of that sort of logic. And then I had kids, and I'm like, well, shoot, that very easily could have been it. You think of all the patriarchs of the faith, and really it's getting to Christ. All those people are necessary to get to Christ. Well, after Christ, that really was the important part, you know, like, so after that, what does it matter? And so I'm like, well, maybe my kids, they were the important part, and whatever comes, what fruit comes from them. And so now I'm a little nervous, you know, like that maybe my purpose is served, right? So I don't feel as invincible anymore. But sometimes you think, like, some Tuesday night, somebody's going to come here and have a dream, and that was the whole point, you know, like, and I get to be the home that special moment happened. And there's crossroads in people's lives where they're like, well, I don't know what I should do, but they sit there and they think and they go, well, I could do this or I could do that. I'd love to be a part of that, where you take the time to think about where you're at, what you're doing, why you're doing it, and reassess. And sometimes it's somebody that trailblazed a different path, which I believe Rosebud is. It's an oddball. It's not like other places. It's not like other towns, and nor am I trying to be like anything else. We are trying to be what we're trying to be, and I want to be that place where somebody might reflect and say, you know, I should probably stop grinding out on the hamster wheel this way and go to a different end. And if I can help facilitate that, have a good conversation and encourage somebody towards a better direction, I'd love to be that.
Wow, that's an amazing way to look at things.
Yeah.
I'm gobsmacked at that one. That's a really good answer. That's
Yeah.
a really good answer. And it is a perfect way to end this conversation, which I've really enjoyed, and I appreciate you answering. To those who are watching, I really appreciate you guys as well. Remember, like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube things. Check out our Patreon. Thank you to the Banks Brae folks for giving us a night here. We've had an exceptional time. They talked about pampering people, and they certainly have pampered us right from the moment we got in all the way up until now. It has been absolutely exceptional. So we really appreciate you guys for sure. And until next time, keep exploring.